Practically everything originates from guilt. Course in Miracles calls it unconscious guilt. I gave it another name because people were finding it hard to relate. So I called it a living question. Okay. It's a living question because everybody suffers from a different living question. Some people feel, I don't feel safe in the world. I just don't feel safe. Another person says, there must be something wrong with me. Another person says, I feel like I'm missing something. Another person says, I feel so empty, so lonely at times. You see, all this is the same thing. All this is unconscious guilt. But when you see it as a living question, then it's a little clearer. Because you get in touch with your living question, because you know you're always repeating the same feeling. And remember, it's not a question per se with a question mark. It's called a question because it's a quest. It's a seeking. So every time you are suffering an emotional pain, you are actually, what you're doing if you're suffering, you're actually seeking yourself through that pain, hoping that you won't have it. Now, let me give you an example of that. And again, I gave it 2 weeks ago. Suppose you're unhappy. What is happening at the moment? You're not happy that you're unhappy.
No.
Right. Yeah, you're not happy that you're unhappy. In other words, you don't want to remain unhappy. Why? Because you want to be happy. But you don't see it that way, that you're actually seeking happiness. You see? So you're seeking the being all the time because the being is happiness, the being is love, the being is joy, the being is bliss, the being is everything that we want. And how do you know that it's everything that you want? Again, I repeat, from the booklet I wrote, about do you doubt your own true nature? Ask yourself this: how do I prefer to feel at this moment? That is, if you're not understanding what you're seeking. How do I prefer to feel? And at the moment you say, right now I prefer to feel whole. I prefer to feel happier. That's what you've been seeking then. You see? But then when you say, I prefer to feel happy, the mind says, oh, I prefer to feel happy, and therefore I am not, but I'd like to be. No, the fact that you prefer it means you are it. Because a preference is coming from the deep inside you, how you would like it to be. And how would you like it to be unless it was already there, inside you, wanting to be that way. So therefore, are we beginning to understand what forgiveness means? So if you find yourself caught in any pain, any emotional pain, all you have to do is simply see that you are seeking your way out of it. You see? And there's nothing to forgive. Because that pain is simply a seeking of that which you already are. And the moment you understand that, that's real forgiveness. Now, another beautiful thing about that is that when you forgive yourself, you collapse time in your favor. Are you understanding this? Time is collapsed. Suppose in your script, because we all have a script, you see, everything is happening according to what has already happened, but we are holographic creatures, but we adopted a body. Because we adopted a body, we're living in linear time. Linear time means we are repeating what we have done already. So we are repeating a script that's already written. In this script contains every lesson that we need to learn. Every lesson that we need to learn. So if you happen to have an accident or some rare disease or something like this, it's because somehow or other there's a lesson that you have not learned. If you keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again, the same emotion, it means you don't want to forgive it. You see? And forgiving means to see that there's nothing there. You're not forgiving something, you're seeing that it's all made up in your mind, and it began to compound interest, like I said, in the bank interest, until it came to a point where it was driving you crazy. And you keep resisting it. You say, I don't want this, I don't want to be depressed, I want to get out of it. You're more depressed, more angry on top of it. because you are resisting instead of allowing. So forgiveness is a way of seeing what you're doing to yourself, what you're doing with your mind, in other words, you see. Because your nature is the opposite of what you're experiencing, and the reason it repeats is because you don't want to forgive it. You see, the moment you forgive it, you start collapsing time. Now, what does that mean? Okay, suppose you hurt somebody, physically or emotionally. Okay. And so, because life is oneness, because we are all one, what is going to happen if you hurt somebody? You're going to get hurt yourself. It has to, because whatever goes up must come down. What goes around comes around. You see? What you give, you receive. The law of karma, the law of cause and effect. This is inevitable, because it's all one. What you do to another, you're doing to yourself. If you give love to another, you get love back. If you hurt another, you're going to hurt back. So therefore, if you have done some harm or thought some very negative thoughts, you've added something in your script that's you're going to have to learn. You see, you're going to have to learn it, because we are here on earth to learn to be how beautiful we really are, that we are divine beings. How are we going to learn it unless we forgive? We forgive all the pain, because we're already perfect. We're not going to achieve perfection. It's already there, but we need to remove the blocks that are impeding our sight from it. So therefore, life gives you a little kick so that you get what you did to another, or even to yourself. If you start thinking a very bad thought about yourself, I hate myself, then life is going to present to you everything that you hate. I get many people say to me, Burt, I'm surrounded by angry people. And then I say to them, I say it as lovingly as I can, I said, there's a lot of anger in you. You see? Because you're drawing it to you. See, the mind works on one law, the law of attraction. It attracts that which you focus on all the time. Now, suppose you have hurt somebody, and either through someone, or you hate yourself, or hating yourself, so you create something that's going to happen to you. Maybe you fall very seriously sick, or maybe some accident is going to happen to you. But if you forgive how you're thinking at the moment, that thing that's supposed to happen to you to teach you what you need to learn that you haven't learned will not happen. By collapsing time so that the thing that's supposed to happen won't happen. You see? This is so beautiful if you'll only understand it. You know, and please feel this, because there's nothing more important to learn than this. And remember that forgiveness is a word that few people understand. It is not forgiving somebody or something for what they did. There is nothing to forgive. It is seeing that it's only there because somehow or other you created it in your mind for you to experience. If you fight it, it keeps compounding. If you forgive it, you collapse time in your favor and it won't repeat again. And now you move on with your life. You see? Because you're back in alignment. Now I'd like to ask you a question so that I'm going to engage you now. When you decide something, who decides? Those of you watching this video, in this pause, think about it. Who is it that decides?
Our mind.
Okay, you say your mind.
Awareness.
Okay, you say awareness. But what if...
Intuition?
What if you decide to murder somebody? Is that your awareness?
At that moment, yes. I mean, it might not be true awareness, but it is as aware as you can.
Awareness is always true awareness. Other is not awareness. See, the moment awareness becomes aware of something, it becomes a thought. It becomes consciousness. It is no longer... Awareness is always pure. It's always now. Okay?
Okay.
So who is it that decides? Feel it out. You can decide to hurt somebody, or you can decide to love somebody. They're two very opposite. Two opposite sides of you. It is the human being in you that decides. The human decides one way, the being decides another way. Those are the two. We are dualistic creatures. There are two parts in us called human and being. And we need to bring them together. You see, the whole problem in life is separation. Always separating. Okay, separating from almost anything.
Well, just if you decide from thought, it's the human.
What's that?
The first thought that comes to your mind, that's human, the decision.
Decision,
but if
yeah.
If you allow the thought, give it time and without the story and just in silence, then a deeper
beautiful
will come.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's exactly how it happens. Right. The human always decides in the beginning. But as we learn to observe, as we learn to listen, as we learn to be still with what is happening, okay, we go into silence, then the silence decides through us. Because it is not only self-recognizing, it is also self-organizing the now. You see? And then you find yourself, my goodness, I went through a whole week. Everything was coming my way. It was magical. It was wonderful. But then you'll find that week, you were not worrying, you were not depressed, you weren't angry. There was something that took over. What took over is your true nature. The being. You were perfectly aligned at that moment. You see? So that's what, we have two parts in us that decide. The Course in Miracles calls it the right mind and the wrong mind. That's all good way of putting it. Okay? So in the beginning, initially, when we're impulsive or compulsive, it is the ego part in us that decides. And it always decides based on our conditioning, based on our taste, like, dislike, good, bad, right, wrong. And in other words, it's based on our judgments. See? But when we stop and listen and become very silent, it brings the deeper part of us. And you know what is beautiful too? Is that when you become silent and listen, something in you, which is that silence itself. Silence is called the language of God. You know, because you begin to feel what it's trying to tell you. Because in your heart, when you're very still, you come to know. You come to know this or that. So many women have been felt, because I'm quoting, because I get many clients, and many of them are women. And they keep telling me they don't trust men, and they're so afraid, they've been so many dates, and they say, it's going to repeat the same thing. And of course it will repeat the same thing. Mm. And so they're always on guard. But if listen to that silence within, you'll know when something is right. You'll always know, if this is okay or this is not okay. If this is going with alignment and this is not. But most of the time, of course, we want to get our own way, which means we're not listening. So this is what it means to listen to the Holy Spirit, you see? To have those moments of silence. People call it meditation. I don't call it meditation because we think of it as a technique to do, which is okay, which is very, very relaxing. But the true meditation is the listening to silence. Listening to that silence within, listening to the now. So that there's no one thinking, no one doing anything. And then there's a feeling that comes. There's a knowing, feeling, knowing that tells you. Okay, so are there any questions?
It seems, Burt, that life is a search for that.
All of daily life is a search for that until we find ourselves, and that's peace. You get peace when you find it. And then you find nothing else makes sense. Only that truly is so beautiful. That doesn't mean you discard anything or you deny anything. No, of course. As a matter of fact, you enjoy everything even more than before.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll find that that is so important. That changeless essence of you, that silence within, is the most beautiful thing. See, you can, again, I repeat, you can call it the Holy Spirit. Again, you can make a friend. Talk to it. And then, before you even know it, you'll find you're never alone. There's a presence.
And what is the key when you go through those difficult times, which I would think are so necessary as a...
They're necessary, but they are a repeat, you see, because those difficult times are waiting for you to forgive them so that you can transcend them, learn what they're trying to teach you so you move on, you see. But if they keep repeating, it means you're not listening. In other words, you're not forgiving what is happening, you see. And this is happening all the time with everybody. This is, it's a repetition.
Yes, very much so.
Right. So whenever there's a difficult period where there's any discomfort, you just listen to it. And then when you listen to it, forgive it. Now again, I repeat, that you don't have to say, I forgive this. Okay? Forgiveness is, you realize totally there's nothing to forgive. It's just a movement that you created with your mind that is now repeating.
And in that moment you're there.
And the moment that you're there, that's
Yeah.
forgiveness. You've forgiven it. You see? And that collapses time in your favor. You see? Which means now you don't have to pay for it. How many times we meet somebody and gives us a hard time and wonder, we don't deserve this, why is this happening? And things get worse and worse and you worry about it and next time I meet them I'm going to say this and what am I going to do? And in the meantime you're aging, in the meantime you're getting sick over it, you see? And it's getting worse because you don't want to forgive. Okay? But the moment you forgive it, you might be surprised meeting that same person again and you find that, gee, it wasn't as bad as I thought. That person is a part of me. It's an extension of my mind. You see? So that's the beauty of forgiveness. So for those of you that have asked, the now is not that great, remember, it is not now that you're in, but you're caught in time. You're caught in the past and your self-image and how things should be in the way you have judged them. And they are repeating to you. So now be very still with what you feel you are happy, what you think you are happy. You see, where is it? And you find there's nothing there, there's nothing to forgive, nothing is happening, it's all in your mind that you created somehow with your vibrations. You see? And the moment you begin to see that very clearly, that forgiveness will take a leap. And that's how we grow into the now. You see? That's a very solid way of entering the now. Is everything clear? Okay, namaste.
Can I ask